like to welcome to our 4-H focus, Jennifer and Delaney Smith. They are a mother-daughter 4-H duo of Champaign County. Jennifer, if you want to start by introducing yourself and tell us a little bit about your 4-H background.
Yes, so I am originally a Champaign County 4-H'er. I was a member of the Willing Winners 4-H Club, which I like to describe as a spin club before spin clubs existed. Okay. We were an all-horse club, so we formed out of a barn of a bunch of horse kids who were just horse crazy, and that was pretty much the focus of our club. And I was a third-generation 4-H'er, so my kids are fourth-generation 4-H'ers, all here from Champaign County.
All right. Delaney, how about you? Tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been involved with 4-H, and what club you're with.
Of course, this is my 8th year in 4-H. I am currently a member of the Champaign County 4-H Livestock Club. I have been very involved in 4-H as a leader. I am currently a member of the Illinois State 4-H Youth Leadership Team, and I'm also a 4-H team teacher.
All right. Now, Delaney, what projects do you take?
I started off 4-H taking poultry and horses. I slowly got out of the horses. I'm pretty sure I only took horses because my mom was into the horses. And then through taking poultry through 4-H, I discovered my passion, and that's the project I'm still taking. I raise and show a unique breed of chicken called a modern game bantam, and I have about 20 of these itty-bitty chickens, and I raise them in the winter and show them throughout the year.
Oh, wow. That's really neat. And Jennifer, did you take any other projects other than showing horses?
I did not. So I distinctly remember horses at that point in time were a large project in Champaign County. Our county horse shows were held at Gordyville, and it was all day. There were quite competitive 4-H'ers. So I remember those fondly. And I think what's really great is, you stay in touch with those people. We still know, and through Facebook and social media, get to know where our fellow 4-H'ers are at today. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but you're involved with our Champaign County 4-H horse show, right? In the summertime?
Yes. Okay. So I'm a co-superintendent of the county horse show with Jamie Steerwalt. So when Delaney did start showing horses through 4-H, we were just a little disappointed in the numbers and the opportunity available to the 4-H'ers. And so Jamie and I locked arms and decided we were going to try to make it a better experience for everybody. And we started offering monthly workshops and tried to grow the project as a whole and just increase the education of the students that were involved.
Yeah. Well, it's very wonderful of you to take the time and do that and be able to share, what your past experiences have been. You knew what it was like and able to bring that on to another generation. I know it is hard. Probably a lot of kids, even with showing livestock, a lot of kids may not have the animals themselves. They might not even know where to start. So it's great to have somebody in the field with the experience that can, point them in the right direction, show them things they need to know. Very good.
Yeah, you're right. So our main goal, one of our concerns was we just felt like there was a lack of knowledge of the 4-H'ers. And so that's why we did those monthly workshops on basic topics. So you didn't have to have a horse, or you don't have to have a horse to participate. And even today, we're still going with the horse show. We grew it from Delaney's first year. There were 7 kids showing, and let's skip last year because it doesn't count.
Yeah.
The year before, we were up to over 27 kids showing. And so, like you said, if you don't have a horse, come join us anyway. We take all volunteers.
Great. And it's great to see that program grow. You guys did a terrific job with that. And I'm sure a lot of kids and families appreciate that. So.
Well, thank you. And so then I think I just must not have enough to do. So I took on as co-superintendent of the poultry show now, as that is both of my kids' interest. So we hope to do a little bit of the same thing with the poultry show and continue to grow it and expand the opportunities for the youth involved in poultry.
Good. Very good. Some kids just don't even understand what all would be involved with the project, so the not knowing scares them away from it. So It'd be great to have that. Now, Delaney, what are some, you mentioned some of the other 4-H experiences that you had besides just being in your club. What are some, can you explain in detail some of the other things that you do or have done through 4-H?
Of course. So I am a member of the Illinois State 4-H Youth Leadership Team. And as a member of this team, I'm put into a leadership position where one of my main duties of the year is to plan and run the Junior Leadership Conference, which this year we held it in a virtual format because of COVID. And part of that had to do with making sure we engaged everybody, even though they were online, and making sure everybody still had an amazing time despite the circumstances that we were under. I'm also a 4-H teen teacher, which is a program that allows me to teach this year different lessons revolving around food, different 4-H projects such as creative arts or traveling, and we take those to different 4-H clubs and teach the youth those lessons from those clubs.
Yes.
Another opportunity I've had through 4-H was traveling with State's 4-H International Exchange Program. Through this program, I was selected as a delegate to travel to Finland, where I was able to live with the host family for 4 weeks. And this program was a cultural immersion program, so I went to live with that host family. It was less of a sightseeing experience and more of a diving into their culture and expanding and learning more about the differences from a whole new perspective.
That sounds really interesting. Did you enjoy it?
I absolutely loved it. Finland was an amazing place to go travel to.
Okay. Yeah. And you said you were there for 4 weeks?
Yes.
Okay, great. What time of year was it? What kind of weather did they have and stuff?
It was over the summer, but they have a little more colder of a temperature. So the entire time it got no hotter than maybe 75, 80 degrees. So it was nice and cool the entire time.
That is nice. I know when I think of Finland, I think of, winter weather. I think of reindeer and snowiness. And so how neat. What a great opportunity. And I know I've seen information about that before, but I've never talked to anybody that's had the experience of going on that international travel. So, yeah.
I'll tack on to that as a mom and getting to see her grow through all of the 4-H programs. Not only as a leader, but then she really just kind of came into herself in that trip to Finland. It was her first time that she could remember being on an airplane. She'd only been on an airplane one other time in her life, and she was too little to remember it. So there were obviously some nerves as a mom to send your kid away for 4 weeks and not, have regular communication, but I also knew she would grow in ways that she never would grow here. So to flip that on its head, we actually hosted a student through State's 4-H International as well. And we hosted a delegate from Korea. And having Chaewon live with us for 4 weeks was just as beneficial to me and my kids, I think, as it was for Delaney to go outbound as well.
Nice. Now, how did you get selected as a host family, or how did you apply for this?
So you can apply to host at any point in time throughout the year. Illinois has a significant delegation that comes to Illinois, comes inbound every summer, where they're looking for families. There's an application process and then an interview, and they do come do a home visit. You are required to have a child of the same sex and approximately the same age in the house. And then they don't have to have their own bedroom while they're here, but they do have to have their own bed. Okay. So there's just some requirements to look into, make sure that you have adequate space for them. And as Delaney said, it's a cultural immersion program. It's not a vacation. So while we went to the state fair, and we just did we went to the local park here, and those were all things that Chaewon was completely unfamiliar with. Living in Seoul, Korea, she lives in a very small apartment complex. So living even just on 5 acres in the country, every day I would wake up and she would be outside on this swing set, just enjoying being outside.
Oh, wow. And I'm sure is a different, a unique thing for her to be able to help with chores with the animals, right?
I'm not sure who missed her more, either us or our cats.
Oh.
Because the cats like attached to her and she attached to
Aw.
them, and she just, because they don't have animals there either. So
Okay, yeah. Oh. Well, thank you for sharing that information about that. Like I said, I know of the program, but I didn't know many details about it or anybody that traveled. So it sounds like a
Delaney
really
was-
great thing.
yeah, Delaney was accepted to go outbound last summer to Romania, which was a new partner country for States 4-H.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because of COVID, all travel was suspended.
Mhm.
So it was hopeful that she would be able to go to Romania this summer for 2021,
Mhm.
and all outbound programs have suspended again, except for Japan. So fingers crossed, she has
Yeah.
transferred to the Japan outbound program, and we're just hopeful that maybe we'll actually get to experience that too.
Yeah, I hope so too. It'll be the Olympics also, won't it, this summer?
It is, but unfortunately, what I've learned about the Olympics so far is that it'll mostly be behind closed doors for safety. So I don't know if she'll get to experience any of the
Right.
events revolving around the Tokyo Olympics or not.
Yeah, more disappointment from COVID, I know. So, Jennifer, can you share a little bit after your 4-H years, you know, when you went on to college, maybe what you majored in and what you're even doing today professionally?
Yeah, so after 4-H years, wow, that's a long time ago. I went to the University of Illinois and studied animal science, and I am not currently working in that field. So after kind of finding myself, I've worked for the Illinois Farm Bureau and the IAA Foundation now for almost 10 years. I've had a little gap in there where I did work for the University of Illinois, but then came back to the Illinois Farm Bureau after that. So I'm currently the development manager for IAA Foundation, and one of my favorite parts of my job is that I get to administer a scholarship program for students studying ag-related majors.
And would you say that certain aspects of 4-H now carry over into your job and what you do in your life?
Every day. Beyond just the development portion of 4-H, I think it's more the networking and the connections that you form and make. So even being in the ag industry now and within a scholarship program, we really look for students that have 4-H experience and FFA experience, because we know what those programs do to develop them as leaders. We know it's going to make them influential in our industry in the future. So just having experienced both of those organizations as a youth, I think it helps and translates into knowing how it's developing our youth today. And while it's definitely not the same 4-H that I was a part of, it's even more beneficial. I don't know that a lot of the skills and development that Delaney's received through 4-H she would have received anywhere else.
Yeah. And that was going to be my follow-up question for you. You know, how have you seen as a parent? I know you mentioned how she grew when she went overseas to Finland and some more independence and some things like that, but how you feel that 4-H has impacted her.
It's I think when I first said, I think you should look into 4-H, she's like, why? What's 4-H? You know, and you just have an instinct as a parent that you know something will be beneficial, and you hope it captures and sparks their desire to be involved.
Right.
Honestly, it's the same for me. Without 4-H, she would not be the person she is today. The relationships she's formed through 4-H within her club or county or state and internationally, those are characteristics that she'll carry with her for the rest of her life. And I hope will encourage her kids at one day to also be involved in the 5th generation 4-H in our family.
Yeah. I hope so too. And Delaney, I'm very proud of you for stepping outside of your club. And as your mom mentioned, outside of your county, I know that you're helping in other counties with this teen teacher experience and the culture, cuisine, and conversation program. being involved at the state level with the youth leadership team and then internationally, like that is such a great thing. So cool. I admire it, all that you're doing. And so I know that your mom's probably proud of you, your parents are proud of you too. So yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, because there's a lot of times where she complains about how full her calendar is. And I just have to remind her that this is a phase in life, and it, you know, we'll get past it and she'll be thankful for it one day.
Yes, absolutely. And all the memories that you're making, that, you know, you will look back at this time and think it was a good time, good time. So yeah, good period of life. Okay. As a mother-daughter, do you have a favorite shared memory together from 4-H?
I do, but it's going to embarrass her. So it was on her trip to Finland. She was boarding the plane.
Oh no.
And I get a text message that says, well, I made it through the scanny thingy. I'm shaking like a chihuahua. And I was just cracking up, but I'm like, that's the worst part. That's behind you. You know, you're good to go now. You know, have a great time. And that was really, I still have that text message.
Oh, I would keep it too. I mean, that's a funny analogy and a visualization. You can oh. Oh, how about you, Delaney? Maybe you can pull out an embarrassing one about your mom.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of something off the top of my head.
Okay.
I love that through I mean, our relationship has been strengthened through 4-H, through, you know, the purchase of her first horse, and then realizing that that was not her passion, and growing through that experience to realize that it wasn't fair to her horse, you know, to just allow him to be standing down there and not be getting the attention that her chickens were getting. You know, and that's a growth for a parent as well,
Sure.
to just go through that process. And our passions are not always our kids' passions. I never thought I would be a chicken mom. But watching her experiment with the poultry and get into the science and figure out that's what she wants to study in college. Again, all things that 4-H has opened doors for her to be able to do.
And Delaney, what are your plans after high school? What are you thinking?
I'm not 100% like entirely sure. I do know I want to study at a 4-year university, and I want to study animal science, specifically poultry science. But beyond that, I still have no idea what career I specifically want to go into. I do know I want to stay in the agriculture industry and stick with chickens, but a specific job is something I haven't discovered yet, and I'm hoping through studying science at the university I will decide that.
Yeah. Well, maybe get some internship experience where you can try out some different opportunities, some different job positions. And well, it sounds like you have a great foundation though, like through your 4-H project, that'll help you out a lot. Well, thank you both very much for your time today. I appreciate it. And again, this is Jennifer and Delaney Smith with the Champaign County 4-H.
Thank you.
Thank you.